I did the best I knew to be a good dad to you. I wished things could have been better. My wife and I just don't agree. She doesn't get it. What am I missing that others seem to have? I just wanted to do it better than my dad. Things are okay. Really, they are. My kids are grown and gone. What can you tell me about fathering? How can I go back and fix this? It's really hard to love my husband because of the way he treats my children. These are just a few of the issues discussed by the Clark family at conferences across the world as they present the 7 secrets of effective fathering. The Clarks address one of our universal concerns, the family and fathers. In the spring of 2003, the Clark family began their international ministry by visiting the former Soviet Republic of Belarus and establishing the first fatherhood program there. In April 2007, through Betty Swan Ministries, Dave traveled to Africa and provided fatherhood conferences in Kenya and Malawi. On Palm Sunday, at a community prayer breakfast in Naivasha, Kenya, the first introduction of fatherhood in Africa was presented. As the featured speaker, Dave was greeted by the Assistant Deputy Director of Kenya, equal to our Vice President, who flew by government plane to hear the presentation. She was so enthused by the meeting that she subsequently made this a platform for the government, understanding that Kenya will never be made whole until men are healed. She has been a big speaker nationally for the need for men to understand their roles as fathers, husbands, and community leaders. After the community prayer breakfast event, the following week was devoted to the first fatherhood conference known on the African continent at the oldest Episcopal church in Kenya. Packed in this small church with no electricity, men crowded in to hear the principles of being great fathers. Naivasha, Kenya, which became ground zero for the fatherhood initiative in Africa, is a rural town northwest of the capital Nairobi. Located in the Rift Valley, Naivasha is known throughout the world for its natural beauty and wildlife and for the production of flowers. The roads are mostly dirt, with donkeys often seen hauling water to homes and businesses. While Dave was in Malawi, the president of the country showed an incredible interest in fatherhood. His personal pastor, Bishop Mbewe, sponsored Dave and Kim to come back the following year to present the fatherhood program in Malawi for a week. One of the key components of fatherhood is to reach fatherless young men. Africa is a continent with young fatherless men who have no direction but drugs and crime. The key to successful fathering in any nation is reaching young men and altering the generational trends of their fathers and their fathers before them. These young men who grew up in one of the many Nairobi orphanages have committed to stay and become ministers. The success of these young men's ministries is directly related to the resources available to them. These orphans hold on to someone for life. They long for a male mentor or a father figure. These orphans don't go without food, but they do go without a daddy. Another component emphasized by the Clarks is speaking and teaching to girls and young women. Bad choices are minimized by beginning to place in them the words and understanding of what good husbands and fathers should look and act like. In September 2008, Dave and Kim Clark established the first known fatherhood initiative throughout South Central Africa. Their message has spread to such countries as Kenya, Rwanda, Sudan, Tanzania, Burundi, Zimbabwe, Congo, and Malawi. Community leaders and pastors have been certified to become fatherhood instructors on behalf of the National Center for Fathering in Kansas City, Kansas. Sponsored by Baptist Community Services, the Clarks led teaching and certification conferences in Kenya and Malawi. The expenses of lodging, conference fees, and travel were sponsored entirely by Baptist Community Services to help support the training of men as fatherhood instructors. These men were pastors, YMCA leaders, community leaders, prison officials, and even men from nearby refugee camps. While Kenya is considered a success story among African nations, political instability is still a reality, and the effects are felt by its citizens. Just outside Naivasha, thousands of Kenyans live in tents as refugees. The greatest heartache of the refugees is meeting the basic functions of providing and protecting for their children, while housed in Red Cross tents, with a government who abandoned them. Dave and Kim speak as a team. Over the years, we have seen that Kim has a great ability to minister to men in their hurts, pains, and disappointments as husbands and fathers. Kim has been able to help men, through her testimony and teachings, to find peace and comfort in restoring broken relationships. Dave and Kim's 2008 trip focused on establishing a formal fatherhood initiative in Africa that would not only remain after they had left, but continue to grow on its own. In order to do this, it was necessary to establish a key director and master trainer who could set up a base of over 200 leaders to teach fatherhood. A master trainer is the highest training position certified by the National Center for Fathering. Dave, being one of only 25 master trainers in the country, was given special permission to train James Mena of Naivasha, Kenya, to be master trainer and director. By rule, master trainer status is only achieved by going to Kansas City and training at the National Center for Fathering. However, the center granted approval to Dave to train James in order to accomplish a fatherhood initiative on the continent of Africa. James Mena has a master's degree in education and was superintendent of schools in Naivasha for 10 years. James himself is the father of 2 sons and has a special passion for children who long for a daddy or a daddy figure in their lives. In James, Dave sees the example of fatherhood. He is a gifted man, a wonderful teacher, speaker, and father. The sacrifices he has made are incredible. James is committed to a ministry of poverty, living in the harshest of slums in Kenya, walking to work each day and traveling to other countries by bus. One of the key components of reaching men is to have a heart for children with great pain in their hearts due to fatherlessness. James shares that hurt with Dave, and a great effort is to be in schools and YMCA centers to reach the children and provide the model for good fatherhood. Not to be forgotten are the fathers in African prisons. Although there is an incredible incidence of fatherlessness in Africa due to famine and lack of work, many times men have chosen crime and the abandonment of their families. The result is men in prison in great personal pain. James has a very direct yet compassionate approach to these men. The Kenyan government has already approved the fatherhood curriculum to be taught in one of only 2 high-security prisons in Kenya. The development of the African fatherhood program has been a firestorm, with a fatherhood committee established and already teaching programs. The program is conducted by James Mena, who is committed full-time to this ministry. The support office staff, phones, and travel have been supported by Bread of New Life Ministries located in Naivasha. Dave and Kim Clark have provided financial support for teaching supplies, a laptop computer, and hopefully better housing and a car for James. To be honest, the Clarks never had a desire to travel to Africa. It is so far away, and the follow-up would be a major burden and hardship on a small ministry like the Father's Cry. But with the urging of so many people, the trips began. Dave and Kim were overwhelmed with love upon first arriving in Kenya, as hundreds of women drove hours to meet them at the Nairobi airport. The excitement of their eyes and the desperation of their hopes have not left the Clarks' thoughts. We have one focus, and that is to share our hardships and victories, with established curriculum and faith experiences with the Christ man, to appeal to men to simply accept their directive by the Holy Father, to be an effective father in their family, and to be a great husband for their wife. The need is there, and we pray for the will to meet that need.
awungizwe ma ungizwe na